for NAIC up against Toby Clark, and it's going to be Gardevoir up against Arceus Giratina.
Do you think you see Gustavo Wada in front of you and you feel a little intimidated? Twice EUIC champion, gunning for that NAIC title, which he did top cut the first NAIC, so trying to get that win under his belt.
Well, let's go ahead and get started with the game. Now, I do believe they already started playing the beginning turns of this match, so it looks like we already have turn 1 played through for Toby, and looks like a pretty good start here. Arceus V in the active spot, Grass Energy on that Arceus V, and then a few more Pokemon on the bench as well. We'll get to there as soon as we can.
Very solid, shiny, colorful start with this secret rare energies, full art cards, alternate arts, and upside down prizes.
Upside down prizes indeed. Taking a look at those. A couple supporters, Pat to the Peak, Giratina V, Energy for Toby. A couple Energy, 1-1 early line, and that Mew in the prize cards for Gustavo.
The big Pokemon Ralts hiding in the prize cards. Kirlia is always less impactful because you do have rare candies and you don't always need all 4 Kirlia, but of course without the Ralts, whether it's Kirlia or rare candy, you will not be able to get into that Gardevoir. Also a nice combination of English and Portuguese cards, or Portuguese language cards from Brazil. Very nice to see, and we are about to head into the game. The timer will be adjusted to make sure that it's correct for the round, and Toby goes ahead and concludes that nest ball and will pass the turn to Gustavo.
So pretty good turn 1 from Toby there. Has that energy attachment on that Arceus V. Gets a couple more Pokemon on the bench, and including that Bidoof, so you can try to get that Bibarel and get some draw power. Now Gustavo's going to start off with that Artisan and trying to search for that Mew, but it's going to be in the prize cards. It's going to have to settle with just the Ralts here.
And no chance at the Battle VIP pass hoping with the Mew. Gustavo's list looking extremely standard from what you would expect. Very solid, very powerful, but the interesting thing being 4 different stadiums, or 4 total stadiums, 3 different ones. The double Artisan is also like extra nice for consistency early on, and by having 4 you can afford to play 1 early to set up, and then you still have enough counters to that path to a peak that Toby will be playing 4 copies of.
Gustavo does have a boss's orders though to bring up that Giratina V, and then we're gonna see the attack stopping the Abyss Seeking with that memory skip. Toby does have a Bibarel though, so we'll be able to draw some cards with Duster Synthesizers. Gonna look through the deck with that Artisan first, find that Skwovet. Maybe we'll see a Nestash.
See, I would have gotten Skwovet wrong from Pokemon pronunciations earlier. We are going to see the judge though, disrupting Gustavo's hand. Gustavo didn't get like a super explosive start, and perhaps Toby would have preferred not to shuffle that hand away, but with no Arceus V-Star, you're not doing anything as Toby. So very important to try and give yourself that chance. You might help your opponent, but it's more important to help yourself, right? It doesn't matter if you're delaying your opponent. If you're also delaying yourself, then there is no point. And there's the Arceus V-Star in play now.
Yeah, it was perfect. Had the Ultra Ball, but then the 4th card was that V-Star, so no need to even Ultra Ball if you want to. Still have option to Nestash and Industrial Synthesizers. We're going to see the Ultra Ball here. Maybe find another Arceus V-Star, maybe even that Giratina.
Now, very potentially important decision here. You're definitely going to V-Star after you see what you draw off of Industrial Synthesizers, but assuming you don't get a switch or an escape rope, or even if you do, I think you'd prefer to just deal with that memory skip Ralts right away. All the V-Star Pokemon relevant to this deck have only 1 attack, and therefore that memory skip could be a little annoying, could force some awkward energy discards trying to retreat to make sure that you don't miss an attack. So just directly eliminating that threat, at least for now, right, because Super Rod does exist, will allow Arceus V-Star to just attack nonstop and it's how you want to get ahead against Gardevoir.
Now we see the escape rope at the very top, but like you said, switch would probably be ideal here. I can't remember if it was in the prizes or not. I don't believe so.
Yeah, if it is prized, then like you are forced to go for the escape rope. I'm not seeing the switch, so it might be that it is indeed. And the prize cards does grab that escape rope, and yeah, the issue being that Gustavo gets another slower-ish turn. That memory skip, it's at least annoying to deal with, right? And if you only power up Giratina instead of Arceus, then it actually starts getting awkward because you definitely don't want to Lost Zone 2 energies just to knock out a Ralts along with paying a retreat cost. So I fully expect to most of these 3 energies go to an Arceus V-Star as a follow-up, knowing that this is a threat. But if your opponent is going for memory skip on their second turn, then you're probably also not getting super pressured. But we do see the 3 energies on the Giratina V-Star this time around, so taking a small risk. We'll see, and the switch was indeed in the prize cards as we just saw on screen.
I guess the one benefit of if Gustavo is using memory skip to shut down that Arceus V-Star, there's only going to be one Kirlia in play. So not as much draw power as Gustavo could want. Does get that level ball for the Kirlia though, so we'll at least have one refinement, but the hand needs a lot of help. There's no supporter.
A lot of help here. That refinement has to be one of the best refinements in the history of refinements.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, Professor's research, good enough. Surprised Gustavo's not using Artisan before their research. I can't imagine there being too many Pokemon left in the deck with 1 Ralts prize, 1 Ralts gone. But if you thin that Manaphy, right, which just appeared in Gustavo's hand, maybe you don't draw that Manaphy. You draw something else potentially a little bit more useful. We are going to see the Artisan now, but I don't think there's any searchable Pokemon left. Yeah, so
I think maybe the reason for holding it is if you draw Super Rod, because you can Super Rod that Ralts and the Gardevoir back in the deck and then search it out.
Potentially, yeah. There's definitely that option with plenty of level balls, plenty of fog crystals. It's one or the other, right? Are you trying to maximize your chances of recovering that Ralts? Or are you trying to maximize your chance of perhaps Rare Candy Gardevoir EX? Yeah, so I don't know. When you're falling a little bit behind, I think it's important to try and consider everything, right? Maybe it did cross Gustavo's mind and he opted for that option, as you mentioned. Both are valid. You won't necessarily know exactly which one was better than the other until you see your cards from the research. I personally would have tried to thin to try and draw the best possible cards, but Gustavo chooses not to do the memory skip. I honestly really liked the memory skip here. There were not a lot of ways to punish that with the escape rope gone. I don't know. I like no way to directly search for a switch. It would have forced Toby into a really awkward continuation of applying pressure, or maybe even buy yourself a turn. Of course, Gardevoir needs a lot of Ralts in play, but I don't know. I really liked it.
There is the Nest Dash for 1 card. Industrious Incisors to draw up to 5 now. Finds quite a bit of energy, Double Turbo, that V-Guard, and that new Jet energy, but has a boss's orders for the 1 Kirlia on Gustavo's side of the board. Takes the knockout. Yeah, like you were saying, not using memory skip might have put Gustavo at a big disadvantage here, because now the board's pretty much charged up, and that Jet energy will stop any more memory skip shenanigans from happening.
Yeah, the Jet energy certainly would have helped a little bit, but yeah, I guess you could have attached it to Skwovet and retreated that way, but Jet energy is not a very common thing in these sort of decks. We haven't seen any before, and as Gustavo, I don't think you would expect that, and also very low chance of them actually having it in their hand, right? So I think it's a risk you can afford to take, but Gustavo immediately scooping. You weren't in a fantastic position if you memory skip, but you definitely would have been, like, at least board-wise, Toby would have had a much worse setup, no matter how he found it, or you would have forced them to find the Jet energy. Maybe they see the Jet energy, or you see the Jet energy as Gustavo, and that's when you scoop, right? Because your memory skip play didn't work. But you didn't even give yourself that chance.
Well, given a chance is what Gustavo's doing, at least by conceding this early. 42 minutes left in the match. Should be enough time to finish 2 games if both things go the player's way. Down 0-1 here to Toby Clark. Both players sitting at 10-2-1. That means 31 match points, needing a win here and then a win next round to lock up a spot in top 8 of the largest Pokemon tournament.
The largest Pokemon tournament indeed. What a day to be here casting, watching these fantastic players. It's really, really amazing to see. And yeah, as you were mentioning, this quick scoop definitely means we have plenty of time to close out these games. On paper, I feel like this matchup should be favored towards Gardevoir if they manage to set up, which, as we very well saw, the disruption from Artina the previous game was enough to dismantle Gustavo and lead to that quick scoop. So Gardevoir is a late game deck. The more advanced the game goes, the more powerful it becomes. Arceus, on the other hand, is the opposite. It starts off very strong, very powerful, quick attacks, a lot of damage, but as the game dwindles down, they run out of resources, they can't disrupt as much, no way to guarantee cards, hoping to draw them with the Bibarel, and that's where the deck starts to falter a little bit. So we'll have to see if Gustavo manages to get to that point, and Mew is definitely a good way to get you started.
Starting the Pokemon that was much sorely needed during that last game, hiding in the prize cards. Does find a level ball, no battle VIP pass just yet for Gustavo, but forced to use a second one to find another Ralts here. There's no real threat of your Pokemon getting knocked out next turn, so at least you can feel safe with this kind of board.
Now, I don't know if you saw the hesitation right there by Gustavo. He eyed the memory skip Ralts, but then he chose to go for the other one. So I feel like either he's aware of how powerful memory skip can be, he recognizes that there's the potential to use it later down the line. Maybe he's even thinking about how he should have used it in the previous game. I'm not saying he should. Yeah, I don't have the end-all be-all answers to everything, but I think it definitely was a much stronger play than just retreating and hoping to not get KO'd.
Listen, Pablo, I was told you were the guy with the answers. And now you're telling me you're not?
I tricked you. I tricked everyone, apparently.
Toby does have that double turbo energy to start things off for his first turn going second, which means Trinity Charge can help power up those Pokemon V in play, and is using Nest Ball. I think failed the search. Or just grabbed the other Arceus. Couldn't really remember, but there's the Trinity Charge powering up that Arceus V on the bench. Do you get one on the active here?
I think you do. I mean, depending on your hand, right? But if you don't have an energy, I think you definitely do. Otherwise, you can get Iono'd out of that. Or rather, even if you do, yeah, you still do it, because if you get Iono'd against the deck that usually plays at least 4 Iono, we've seen 3, but Gustavo does play 4. So you can't assume, even though your deck is still full of energies, you cannot assume you're just going to get one.
Mysterious Sail from Mew, looking down. Battle VIP pass turn 2 late. Had the rare candy in there, but opted not to grab it. I think already has one in hand.
Already has one in hand, and then he also has an Iono. You grab that, now it's at the bottom. It's inaccessible, unfortunately. I think Gustavo was really hoping to find an Ultra Ball off of that, holding the rare candy already. There we see it with the Gardevoir. Would have preferred the EX. That way he'd have a slightly better chance at attacking. I like this hesitation. It's not super clear which Ralts to evolve to. If you evolve the one with energy, you make it more enticing as a boss's orders target. You take away the option to attack, but hitting for 150 onto an Arceus that's probably evolving next turn, not going to be super impactful. It's all about stabilizing, and that double Ralts draw or single Ralts draw plus the Artisan, probably very useful here.
It looks like double to me. Still needs to find some Kirlia, though.
I think it's Kirlia and
all right.
Ralts, but with the Artisan, right, it's guaranteed. However, it's a stadium card to counter Path with Peak, so there's always the merit of just because you have a card you can play, that doesn't mean you have to play it. And every card you don't play this turn or right now are cards that you can use later down the line.
Gustavo does have an Ultra Ball, though. Discards that Battle VIP pass, and a penny finds that last Ralts with that memory skip. And I guess one thing about the way the board's set up now, memory skip's not really that good, just because Toby can evolve into that Arceus V-Star.
Yep, memory skip would definitely have a lot of potential next turn to stop that Arceus, but it's a different setup this time around. The Giratina isn't powered up, it's actually the Arceus on the bench, which is an easier time to go retreat and attack, right? It's all about this war of attrition of resources and paying 2 energies to retreat along with lost zoning 2 more. That can be pretty brutal, but paying a double turbo to just attack with other Arceus, that's pretty reasonable.
Toby has Bibarel and a Nest Ball to go along with it that can find that Giratina V if he wants to, find the Skwovet. We'll need to thin the hand down to try to draw some cards with Industrious Incisors here, because as of right now, it's still quite a few cards in hand thanks to that Iono.
Yeah, the key card missing being that Arceus V-Star. Without it, Toby can still get a KO, but getting return KO'd by that Gardevoir is then all of a sudden a lot easier for Gustavo, and you're trading your 2-prize Pokemon for a single prize Pokemon. So we're going to see the judge give yourself a fresh 4 cards, which you can potentially play down even further, and therefore maximize your draw with Bibarel. But the key card here is that Arceus V-Star.
4 cards at least to try and find that powerful V-Star Pokemon. One of, I guess, if not the best V-Star Pokemon that we've seen throughout their run in the Pokemon TCG. And Ultra Ball as, or 2 of them actually, so does find that Arceus V-Star that enables Starbirth to be able to find a couple more cards. You got some cards to draw with Industrious Incisors as well.
Indeed. You definitely want to draw first with that Arceus to see, oh, evolving the benched one. That is a very peculiar decision. Is the other card in hand another Ultra Ball?
Discarded the other Ultra Ball.
It was an S Ball though.
They all look gold to me.
I mean, yeah, the gold definitely throws you off for a loop. It was
all right, he drew an Ultra Ball here.
There's the other Ultra Ball. I am generally very surprised as to why you wouldn't evolve the bench.
Because we're going escape rope time.
All right, escape rope. I was going to mention how Gustavo, when he sees it's not a boss KO, probably a small sigh of relief, but definitely won't like this escape rope being played in order to get a KO. Does conserve the memory skip Ralts in case it's necessary at some point next turn. Probably just going to end up evolving with the Kirlia, but there is merit. Yeah, as reaching for a knockout needs 5 energies in the discard pile, or 4, I guess, with the one on Kirlia, and their reversal energy. That could be the key card here in order to get a return KO and make this trade not very cost effective. Trading your 2-prize Pokemon Arceus V-Star for a single Ralts, not going to be ideal in the long term.
And reversal energy is a card that, at least me personally, I thought we've been poised to see a lot more of than we have. Most of the Gardevoir list will only play like 1 copy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I think Reagan's playing 1 copy in Lugia, and it's a very powerful energy, but it doesn't really work with a lot of the popular Pokemon in the format, at least right now.
Yeah, for sure. Reversal energy, very powerful card, but also very situational. And this is possibly one of the most ideal situations to be utilized in, but we'll have to see if Gustavo manages. That energy on the Kirlia now could possibly end up hurting him just a tad bit, because that's 1 energy that's not in the discard pile. If I can see correctly, there's 2 right now. 1 from the Mew, that would be 3. Another getting discard from the Kirlia, that would be 4. So with the reversal, the Shiny Arcana Gardevoir could pull this off, but it might actually be 1 card short. Not even trying,
Second
though.
refinement does not really find much of what Gustavo needs. Can retreat the Mew. Brings up the Gardevoir.
Maybe I can't see the discard pile clearly enough. I only managed to see 3 energies.
Yeah, I do believe there's just the 3 energy in there.
Let's see, boss's orders, knockout on the Giratina as well. A supporter has not been played, so that could be Gustavo's path to an attack. Or maybe there's just no counter stadium. Maybe that's the key part I'm missing. But the Gardevoir being the active does signify perhaps we're going to see an attack. No, I don't see a stadium in Gustavo's hand, so just a reversal energy attack right here. I'm not sure I like this. It's a big use of resources. It's less extra cards next turn because of the Shiny Arcana. I mean, I guess if you expect your Pokemon to be bossed, you might as well get some damage out of it. And then if they go boss Kirlia to try and deny a Gardevoir EX, your Gardevoir stays intact. Definitely not the best, most explosive start for Gustavo at this point.
Just using Brainwave for 150 damage thanks to that reversal energy. And Toby has a good grip of cards in the hand. Ultra Ball to thin it down a little bit here. Discards Giratina V-Star and that Spiritomb to find that second Arceus V-Star. And then from there, Industrious Incisors trying to draw some more cards. But honestly, all you really need right now is what? Boss's orders? Some disruption maybe?
Potentially boss's orders or disruption. You do know there's potentially no stadium in Gustavo's hand. Though you still don't have that 100% confirmed, so maybe a judge would be really nice here, which is in the hand. But yeah, all you want to do is keep up the attacks, keep up the pressure. There's the judge, and between knocking out the Gardevoir or a Kirlia, usually there is a preference for the Kirlia because the Kirlia gives you the same card advantage, but also gets a card in the discard pile, which is very important for Gardevoir to get those energies ASAP. However, with the Gardevoir already established with the reversal energy, it is a threat. So might as well force Gustavo to find another attacker and another Gardevoir and use another Kirlia in order to be able to continue trying to take prizes.
One important thing to note too is that Cleansing Gloves coming down on that Giratina V-Star helps you deal 30 more damage to Psychic Pokemon. And with that, Giratina V-Star is able to deal 310 damage and take a one-hit knockout on Gardevoir EX should the time come.
Should the time come. And Toby has yet to use a boss's orders. He does play 4 in his deck, so that is definitely something that could happen that would sway the prize trade even more on Toby's favor. And I think on paper, you expect Gardevoir to have an inherent advantage against Arctina, but the disruption, the path, the strong escape rope play to deny a Ralts, even from the very second turn of the game, really putting Toby in the driver's seat right now.
Gustavo does have Rare Candy Gardevoir in hand, but is going to need to find at least a stadium bump with these refinements. Now also has the other Gardevoir, so can continue with a Shining Arcana as well. Evolves the Kirlia that already used the refinement. Attaching an energy to the other Kirlia.
Decides to attach that energy. I'm not, once again, sure that I agree with attaching those energies, preemptively spraying them out. Shining Arcana Gardevoir is a good attacker here. Your Gardevoir EX is definitely threatened. Mysterious Tail fails as well. Yeah, that Giratina could come in very clutch to take down this Gardevoir EX right now.
Yeah, and we already know the boss's orders is in hand for Toby. No hand disruption thanks to that professor's research being played, and this one might already be over before it has really gotten to start. There is that Temple of Sinnoh though, so there's that bump of the stadium retreat. Thanks to that Psychic Embrace to that Shining Arcana Gardevoir. Brainwave with a couple extra energies on it. Now, I do like putting as many energies as you can, just because if the Gardevoir EX gets knocked out, you're going to need to be able to do something.
Yeah, even if Gardevoir EX responds to the Giratina, the Giratina V-Star takes down the Gardevoir EX, then you don't need to worry about extra energy to continue attacking. However, that Gardevoir doesn't have enough to potentially KO the Giratina V-Star anyways, right? It's still 3 energies away, I believe. The reversal energy is gone as well. So Gustavo will be forced to establish another Gardevoir EX if he wants to take that knockout and find another energy for turn. So complicated setup for Gustavo. Toby really putting thought into how or the best way to close out this game, and decides it's Arceus V-Star.
Arceus V-Star in the active Path to the Peak to replace that stadium. Does have the switch in hand, but with that Path to the Peak, it's kind of that little insurance that you need to keep that Gardevoir EX at bay, especially with Gustavo having trouble finding that stadium the past couple turns. And we're actually going to see the Nest Dash. It's going to put that boss's orders to the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
Draw 1 card.
So we're not going to see that.
Okay, boss's orders.
Okay, that works. The deck telling Toby what to do, giving him a hint. Chooses to immediately judge though, so valuing hand disruption a lot more. Judge plus path, I would know, is a very powerful strategy for sure.
No, it's judge, not Iono.
What? I said judge plus path.
You said I would know.
Oh, there you go. Jeez, I'm not on my pun game today.
Both players get to draw 4 cards after shuffling their hand into the deck. Grip of supporters here for Toby and that Raihan and Iono. But you have pretty much everything that you would want in play. You just need to try to figure out the game from here. Taking the knockout on that Gardevoir in the active spot. No energy to charge up, but you don't need it.
You don't need it indeed. Now Gustavo has a way to win, but it's very, very, very specific. Needs to recover Shining Arcana, as I believe both of the Gardevoirs are in the discard pile. Needs to find energy attachment, power up 8 energies total onto that Kirlia this turn by also removing the stadium, take a knockout on the Gardevoir. And then that puts Toby in a situation where Toby knocks out the station. Oh, I guess station accomplishes the same thing. Enough energies on the station, you knock out Arceus, and then if Giratina knocks out Gardevoir EX, the station is already powered up. If you knock out the station, then the Gardevoir EX is not threatened. So potential for a comeback here. I don't know how many energies are left or are in Gustavo's discard pile. I imagine he would have enough at this point. I don't imagine that energy on the Kirlia potentially hurting him. It's going to be about the path plus the disruption.
There's at least 5 or 6 in the discard thanks to that knockout during the last turn. Gustavo is going to Iono here, having both players shuffle their hand, put it to the bottom. Gustavo's drawing 4 for his prize cards, and Toby draws 3.
Once again, Gustavo did not use Artisan before the Iono. And, I mean, his style, his approach, definitely when you're on the ropes, I can't imagine Cresselia being a part of your plan. To win this game, you probably won't need to establish a Ralts, or won't even have the time to like find Super Rod. You might even want the Super Rod as a way to recover the station the next turn as well. So could have been a card, and both times Gustavo's actually drawn an artisanable Pokemon, if you will.
Exactly.
Inventing verbs here. And so, yeah, there's the Super Rod. So
found the Super Rod, but a little too late. Mew with its Mysterious Tail, unfortunately, not really able to find it. That way you can try to draw into that Gardevoir before drawing those cards with Iono. And honestly, I don't even see an energy in the hand for Gustavo either, which it's might be 1 short.
Might be, yeah. I mean, we don't have a clear view of the energies, but if there's 7 or 8 rather right here, then we could actually see the KO. If there aren't, and based on Gustavo's hesitancy, I'm not sure there are enough. So that 1 energy on Kirlia could be the missing piece right here. Toby might do us the favor of counting them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.
Wow.
7 energies. 1 energy short. This energy on the Kirlia being very, very costly. And it's very important to preemptively attach energies to Kirlia, for sure, right? To have them ready to power up 8 on a Shining Arcana, but it can also come back to bite you. Not that it was wrong to attach it there.
There could have been a play the Collapse Stadium, discard the Kirlia, but the Artisan was played this turn, so you can't play 2 stadiums in 1 turn.
Indeed. And then if Gustavo does not actually take a knockout this turn, then Toby takes a knockout. If he has boss now, he can knock out potentially the Gardevoir, and then with another boss, close out the game. So rough situation for Gustavo to be in. I believe he did have at least 1 energy prized. It's also quite unlucky to...
Had the energy prize, but I believe grabbed it. It was on the bottom couple of prize cards. And with just the 7 in the discard, 7 times 3, that's 21, plus 60, that's 270.
7.
Quick maths, but it's not enough.
It's really not enough. I'm surprised he went with the Zacian here. This is almost like giving up. You knock out the Zacian with your Arceus, and then Giratina VSTAR can knock anything you throw at him. So, wow, 10 damage on the KO on this 280 HP.
That's a lot of dice.
VSTAR. That is a lot of dice, yeah. We're gonna have to innovate on the dice front. Otherwise, as the game progresses, we're gonna be putting 6, 7, 8 dice on top of these 300 plus HP Pokemon at some point.
Ultra Ball here for Toby, thinning the hand down for this Industrious Incisors. Can also grab a Pokemon and then put it to the bottom with Nestash if he wants. I do believe that Boss Orders is the last card in hand. So you kind of want to save it, but again, if you knock this out, you can just knock anything out next turn and win.
Yeah, it's quite checkmate, because no matter what Gustavo powers up to take a knockout, we'll surely have enough damage for the Giratina to take it down. Yeah, no way to remove tool cards. 310 damage KOs everything in Gustavo's deck. Exactly. Gustavo self-damages the Pokemon. Toby will be at 1 prize card left after this turn, so...
Are we going to see the... Oh, I wanted the double turbo on the Bibarel yet again. 3 double turbo energies. Could you imagine?
The most powerful Bibarel in the history of Bibarels.
Go for the tail smash. Come on. Flip ahead to take the knockout. There is that Trinity Nova. That is the concession. Gustavo Wada getting taken down by Toby Clark from the UK, going to 11, 2, and 1 now. 34 match points, but not safe.
Not safe in this humongous tournament that we have here today. Record numbers, and therefore you need a new record in order to make it to top 8.
But that much closer to trying to lock up that top 8 spot and make history. The North American International Championship is always one that these players want to win. It's the last stop before the World Championships. And to win this tournament,